Hi, this is Roger. I'm back, and we are working on the Azure RM MS SQL configuration in the Azure Sandbox, and we're going to jump here into the Getting Started section. For those of you who are familiar with the previous configurations, we also provisioned VNet Shared in advance. We provisioned VNet App in advance, and those are both required to provisioning this configuration. So I am going to fire up VS Code, which is where I do, which is what I use for my client environment. VS Code, remote development into the Windows subsystem for Linux. That's where we run all of the automation. Okay. So here's the configuration we're working with, this MS SQL configuration. And I think the first thing that getting started instructions suggest that we do is from our terminal that we change the directory down to that folder. And if we list the files in that directory, you can see they line up with the files that are here in our Explorer view. So we are in the right place. Cool. So next, we're going to need to set up our environment variable for the secret that is used to authenticate with our service principal. So that is done with the export command, and you have to use this tf_var syntax, and then whatever the variable name is, you put that last. And this helps you keep from putting secrets in your code or in your configuration file. So I'm going to pause the video briefly while I go and get the value of that secret. Okay, I'm back. Got the value of my secret. I'll paste it in here, and I'll go change that after I publish this video so I don't have any unwelcome visitors trying to use my service principal. Okay, so I believe the next thing, let's go have a look at the getting started instructions. Yeah, we're going to move into running Bootstrap next. So let's go ahead and do that. You should be familiar with running Bootstrap at this point. Every configuration has its own Bootstrap script. So here you can control the name of the database that we provision on Azure SQL Database. So I'll just choose TestDB, which is the default. And you can see our Bootstrap went and got some secrets. And then it went out and generated our terraform.tf_vars file. So pretty simple Bootstrap. Really all it does is just grab some secrets and write this terraform.tf_vars file out. So that's pretty straightforward. And then next, we have to initialize our Terraform providers. So you do that with Terraform init. And you can see the providers being downloaded and installed. So now we have this .terraform directory that has the binaries in there for those providers. This lock file, which helps, authenticate and control access to the providers and ensure that the keys that were used to get them are authentic. Yeah, so that passed. Next, we could do a Terraform validate to ensure that our configuration is syntactically valid, which it is. That doesn't mean it's going to provision. It just means, there's no syntax errors in it from a Terraform perspective. Okay, so we always want to do a plan prior to applying a configuration so we know what it's going to do, because Terraform can create things, it can modify things, it can destroy things. So you want to know exactly what this plan's going to do before you apply it, right? And this plan is going to add 5 resources change 0 resources, and destroy 0 resources. And that's what we're expecting because this is the first time that we've run this configuration. Okay. So next, now that we know our plan and we feel good about it, we can go ahead and apply this configuration. So again, it's going to add 5 resources. Not going to change anything, not going to delete anything. That aligns with the plan that I ran before. So I'm going to say yes, that's cool. Let's go do it. And we're off and running. Terraform is out provisioning a Azure SQL Database logical server, and really that's kind of the gateway, if you will, to getting to talk to an Azure SQL Database. And it has some shared configuration that you can use across multiple Azure SQL databases. So that's kind of a managed service by Azure, so you can really just think of it as a metadata repository that controls access and metadata regarding the actual individual Azure SQL databases that you provision in your environment. And it also has like all the firewalls and things like that associated with Azure SQL Database. So it stores all kinds of security configuration and authentication configuration for your Azure SQL Database. Okay, our Azure SQL Database logical server is created, and now we're provisioning a private endpoint. And we're also provisioning an Azure SQL Database. All right, the private endpoint's been successfully provisioned, and so has the database. And there we are. We've got 5 resource added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. You can see now we have our state file over here. Our Terraform state file has been created. So let's go see what's in that. Couple of secrets, a random ID, and 5 resources. So that's a fairly small configuration in comparison to the others, but that's what's involved with the Azure SQL Database. Let's see if our getting started instructions are asking us to do anything else. Nope, that's it. So we'll pick up in the next video on smoke testing. Thanks, everybody.